we as black people, and we have always been, maybe back in the day, it was out in the open. White people treated us bad, talked to us bad. Now it still happens, but it's just a little bit lower. They don't do it as as in front of your face as much. But here's where the question comes in. Let's just say Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, they get treated as equally bad as black people to white people. So the question is, I was listening to a Fat Joe CD. I'm just going off of what Brandon said about music. And he's not black, he's Latino or Cuban, but he says the word nigga just like Biggie would say nigga, like it ain't nothing wrong with it. Do we as black people get offended when someone who is equally suppressed as us, a race is equally suppressed as us, like Latinos, Cubans, and Mexicans? Are you offended when they use the word, even if they're using it in a positive way? They're not calling you a nigga, but if they say, man, nigga, please. They're talking like shit, I can say it like you can too. Is that offensive? Should I check him like I would a white person? Or does he get a pass because he's been treated just as bad as I have, because technically he is a person of color. He is not white. Just curious to hear what the panel has to say.
But the first part I can identify with. Weaving in and out. We all have to do it. I guess it's one of those basic instinct type of things. You do it in school, you do it in business, you do it in your everyday life. You switch it on and off. I guess it's like the Paul Laurence Dunbar poem. We wear the mask, right, that hides our eyes. But it becomes like a basic. It's like a survival thing. But me, if I hear and the spat, you know what? I have a lot of Cuban clients, and I've never heard them say it. I mean, because Cuban, black, white, whatever, and I've never heard them say it. I don't. But the same thing is Damon. I don't try to hang around people, I guess, that use it like ad nauseum. But if somebody else that wasn't black said it, I probably, like my eyes would light up. I would take notice of it. I don't know if I would do anything, but I probably wouldn't like it. I don't think I'd like it.
I wouldn't feel any type of way about it, because I realize that there are 16 shades to black. There are 16 shades to black, and people from all different countries, from all part of the world, that came from the original man, which was the Asiatic black man, who was everywhere first, including European, which the black man was the original European as well. He was labeled the Grimaldi. So no, I'm not offended by anybody that says nigga, except for white people. We have to take our own word and make it art and have our own powers over it and give it our own definition. We have to create our own reality, and part of creating our own reality is in controlling our own definition for words. If we allow everybody else to make their own definition and we try to live under their circumstances, we'll see ourselves just get weaker and weaker. Because part of the main tool of racism is confusion. So really what they're trying to do is confuse us, and what we need to do is we need to have our own rap, we need to have our own definitions, we need to create our own reality, we need to have our own music, we need to have our own schools, we need to have our own way to move in the country, but without the country having so much power. Yes, sis.
I want to jump in here too and get a chance.
The official term for what this man over here is speaking about is code switching, the ability to go from one code or one language to another code. And as an educator, we work with children to help improve their ability to code switch. Unfortunately, we're in a I'm gonna be me, I'm doing me mentality.
I'm keeping it real.
I'm keeping it real. And so our children don't understand code switching. Just like talking about cussing in front of senior adults or adults who are older than you. You don't cuss in front of adults that are older than you because that's disrespectful. We don't do that. And I consider older people. Just like you said about even if a black person approached me, I don't expect you to approach me and you don't know me and use that word. I don't expect that. So we have to, because we understand code switching and we do it every day, just like Paul. I mean, this isn't even anything new. Paul Lawrence Dunbar talked about wearing the mask. So we're not doing a great job of teaching this to our kids, because our kids think they can go anywhere and say anything they want to, and there are no repercussions for that.
Right.
You're not getting jobs because you don't know how to talk on an interview. You're not being able to communicate with your teachers and people in your school because you don't understand how to communicate in a way that is respectful. So we have to do a better job. You talk about having our own schools. We have to do a better job of teaching our kids how to code switch. I don't, as a parent, and I know just, as you said, the things that you might say to your sibling, you would never say that in front of your father. You wouldn't have any teeth. So we do that to a point, but then we're not doing that when it comes to children going out into the world. And that is why our kids are just at every social demographic that's negative. Our kids are the worst. Our kids are dropouts. They're not being successful in school. They're just having a really difficult time. And sometimes we have to be reflective in how we're raising children and what we're allowing them to say, do, and be exposed to if we want them to be successful in the larger world.
Are you saying that to say that if our children don't say the word nigga in any way, shape, or form, that they'll necessarily be successful with the rest of the country being the way that it is?
No, I'm saying that children need to know how to code switch. You need to know how to talk in front of your friends.
Salute, yes,
Because I don't want my son to be a punk either. I don't want anybody saying that my son is a chump. So, I mean, you gotta know how to code switch.
Yes, ma'am.
So but we've gotta teach that.
Yes, ma'am.
We've gotta teach children, when you're driving in the car and you jam into your music, when you pull up or when you know you're getting to where you need to be, you need to turn that music down. Because when you go to church or wherever you go, you don't need to pull up and everybody hears all these expletives in your music. You need to be respectful of that. So we've got to teach our children that. It doesn't just happen, we have to teach it.
Hey, John, let me jump in here. First of all, I didn't know there was a term for that. And you said lady when I was talking to you on the phone too, so I'm just messing. But I thought that that's very enlightening. I didn't know that there was a term for that. I'm Minister Gerald Muhammad, but I sell insurance, and I'm around white folks all the time to do business with them. So I didn't realize that I'm a code, switcher. But biblically, Paul was a code switcher, because Paul seemed to be all things to all people without losing himself. So that's how Christianity, from a spiritual standpoint, was able to spread. But my thought was, John, what you were saying earlier about you're about having new approaches to old problems.
Indeed.
And in the back, Brandon, I think, we had a discussion and Neil was talking about meeting with some of the older pastors and then, all they want to do is just have marches, but that's a turnoff to the youth. My statement and question is, isn't it troubling, this is my statement, that no other people are sitting around having conversations on what to call themselves? The Vietnamese are not having discussions on, are we Vietnamese Americans? Are we Americans? Are we Vietnamese? The Hispanics here are not having a dialogue. Are we Hispanics? Are we Latinos? But we don't know whether to be called Afro-American, African-American, Negro, Black, so there's a lot of different schools of thought. So I think that we have to look at, some new approaches for our discussions and things like that as well. But I think it's beautiful when we can all come and talk like this and learn from one another. So the question is, what are some of the new approaches that the hip-hop community is working on, or do you think young people could use to some of the same old problems?
Repeat the question one more time for me, Brett Gerald. thinking outside of the box. I think the hip hop community is all about creating our own foundation, creating our own definition, redefining words, redefining people based on how they appeal to us and how they appeal to us as a community. And also, as a hip hop community, we have to remember that hip hop period is a black culture. We have to remember that the foundation of hip hop is a black culture, and anybody else who comes into hip hop on any type of level is a guest. So with that said, we need to redefine our art and take our art and come up with the concrete structure of what it's going to be. With that said, nigga is an acceptable word in hip hop. When we talking about niggas in hip hop, we're not talking about damn niggers in the cotton field. They're two different things. If I walk up to my man Andrew Jackson right here and say, "What's up, my nigga?" it's not the same thing as me walking up to him with a whip going, "What's up, my nigger?" And it's two different things.
Can I piggyback off of that, please? I also researched the word nigger, and it was a white man's word it was a mispronunciation of the word Niger and Niger, because Niger is a country in Africa, and it's spelled Niger, and it means king.
That's right.
And Nigeria is also a country in Africa, and it means queen. So what has happened is we've taken the word that the white man has created, nigger, and made it our own. And it's the same thing as what he was saying. You know, yeah, he redefined, well, he mispronounced it. And we took it negatively and continued to use it as a negative word. And another thing I found out, skin, very dark skin. Right. And they were considered the, predominant people, and they were considered the upper echelon. So it's all in the education. I am a teacher also, but if you educate yourself, you'll learn a lot. And you can even go back to the poem that Nikki Giovanni created, Niggas and Flies. I listen to UGK, and they have a rap called Niggas and Flies, Niggas and Flies, Niggas and Motherfucking, So what I'm saying is, if you educate yourself, it's a big difference in, just getting so upset over something that somebody created, and then we embrace it, and we take it as our own. And like he was saying, we need to go ahead and educate ourselves. To keep a black man down, they used to say, put it in a book. Just put it in a book, because we're not going to read it, and we're not going to get the education that we need. So, yeah, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. Yeah, I listen to UGK, I love Scarface, but am I going to play that around my kids? Of course not. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's a way to keep being yourself, and it's a way to be educated, educate our kids and the community, and just not embrace the negative things. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's well said. Andrew Jackson, why don't you just...
Oh, yeah, I want to say something. I got a loud voice, so I don't need a mic. I wanted to piggyback off what the sister was just saying. The mispronunciation was done on purpose. The word itself gives people a kind of sense of being offended because it was meant so you will be offended. So when you get whipped, hey nigga, get that shit. Oh, excuse me. But it says so it creates some kind of friction in you. So after years and generations of that, you're still gonna be offended, even knowing the definition of the word. But I really have two parts. My question was to John, do you feel, because you said that the word nigga is a divine word, so do you feel that the word nigga itself has some kind of power or some kind of energy behind just saying it? That's my question. And then my second part was to the brother asking about conscious music, if it was, because I understood what you were saying. We deal with this on a regular basis. What John put to me was in the early 1990s, the #1 hit song was Self-Destruction, was Fight the Power, right? And you had a lot of people going out publicly, that's what they were on. They were all about getting natural, all about finding out who they were. What's the hit song right now? Some Drake song, something that isn't promoting anything positive. So the kids are gonna see that, and they're not gonna think self-destruction or anything conscious. They're gonna think, yo man, I'm trying to go to the club. I'm trying, whatever is being promoted by that. So I feel your question is answered by conscious music can be dope. It can get to the top if the people who control music said, okay, this is our agenda. This is what we're gonna push. And then the people who listen to that are going like, oh, yeah, it got a good beat and they talking something that the people can relate to. I think that would help conscious music become bigger than the, cookie cutter rappers.
That's a good point. I mean, I think, it's the audience. It's the audience. I mean, every generation before the generation that's, popular or whatever. I'm Generation X. I guess now it's the millennials, right? Which everybody's catering to. Every generation before thinks that they were better than the generation now, right? Or their music was better, or whatever. We get nostalgic about that. But I would like to think that, I don't know, I think that, of course it's biased, but the music now is, I don't know, I don't like it. But it's nothing that I can relate to, but it's something that the millennials or whoever else can definitely relate to. My parents couldn't relate to Public Enemy, or X-Clan, or whoever, or Wu-Tang, right? They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what's a killer bee. They don't know. But that's just the way it is. I don't know if music is dumbed down. We might be getting a little bit off. I don't know if music is dumbed down, but I guess we'll stay on the topic of the N-word. If you want to, Father Child, say something else.
Yeah, I got a few notes that I scribbled down that I want to make sure I share with the audience. I wrote down that let me see, Naga, N-A-G-A, Naga is a noun. And in Indian mythology, a member of a semi-divine race, part human and part cobra, who informs and associated with water and sometimes with mystical initiation. That's from the language of Sanskrit. I also want to say that the snake that it talks about in there represents the Kundalini energy, or the open third eye. For those who are familiar with the teachings of the 7 chakras, the chakras are energy fields formed within your body, crossed up by negative energy and positive energy crossing. It's called the 7 chakras. Now, at the bottom of that, at the base of your spine, we're taught that you have a Kundalini energy. And that Kundalini energy is the energy that's stored like a snake is represented by the snake at the bottom of your spine, and your chakras represent the different understandings that you have. The goal is to rise with your higher chakras away from your lower chakras, to come to your higher self over your lower self. That's why in the snake is the Kundalini energy. That's why when you see in Egypt, when you see the crowns that they had, you see the snake at the top. Because the snake represents the open third eye. The snake represents the rise of the Kundalini energy. And that all comes back to the Egyptian terms of reason. And I also wanted to say that Niger and Nigeria are 2 countries in Africa. Now you know Niger, if you had another G to it, all of a sudden it's nigger, right? Now we know Nigeria, if we had an extra G to it, that's Nigeria. They're 2 countries in Africa. The word Niger means king or emperor, and the word Nigeria is a feminine word meaning queen. I guess what my overall point is that, look, man, these are our words. These are our terms. Even by trying to run from the word nigga and go, no, I'm not no nigga, all you're doing is playing yourself. Because those are originally our words, and they mean positive things, not negative things. What we've allowed ourselves to go into, we've allowed another group of people to come in, oppress us, change to us what certain words mean, and until we take those words back and redefine them in a way that benefits us, we'll always be in the victim chair.
There you have it. Did you want to make a point, Brother Judd? I guess if anybody else wants to make, okay, I'm sorry.
I have a comment because I'm good. I actually just came to observe, but I'm going to bring another perspective because I'm offended by the word. As a matter of fact, my blood pressure is through the roof right now. I understand the historical pronunciation, definition of the word, but in today's time, it is a derogatory term. And I do not understand why we put so much energy into trying to make it okay to say it when, as you said, there are so many other problems in the world to talk about. But yet we sit here today talking about it's okay to use the word because originally it meant king and queen. It does not mean that today. And the way that is used in rap music does not connotate king and queen. It doesn't. I mean, if it did, then maybe I could buy into that, but that's not what I hear every day when I'm at work listening to my radio station. So I'm offended by the word. I'm embarrassed when people use the word, especially in public. I was at a Final Four basketball game, and this young man is sitting here next to me, and he goes, I think that's my N-word down there. It is my N-word. It was just so ignorant and embarrassing to me for him to do that, especially in the presence of, all of the people, kids around. We're talking about maybe we shouldn't use it around kids. We should use it, when we're amongst our boys or whatever. But it's just, the way that we use it these days is just so ignorant to me. And I think we should put our efforts towards something positive and just let it go.
And then what? I'm just saying, sis, I love you. When I say and then what, I mean, okay, we stop saying nigga. Everybody in here no longer says nigga. Then what does that change for the condition of the black man and woman in America?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question. It doesn't do anything to change it if we stop using it, but what does it do to change it if you're using it? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, what does that mean to be able to say that word and feel like it's powerful because we're taking the word back? I mean, what is that doing to change the unemployment rate, to change education and poverty and homelessness? I mean, what is that doing by using it? It's the same argument to me.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, what I'd be doing in using that is I would be speaking to another black man, and we just be speaking in our own language, saying whatever we wanted to say. And it would be the one thing that I would have in America that I could exchange with a brother. We could exchange ideas, and the white man couldn't even interrupt into that conversation and add on his conversation and add on his thoughts in that same way. I'm just saying, what I'm saying, I guess, in the simple way to say it, is that we have to realize that certain things among us are sacred terms by definition, because sacred means that everybody can participate in it. I'm holding on to the sacred words.
Okay, thank you.
I just got a real quick question. I ain't gonna be long-winded this time. It seems like, just like Brother Judge said, we're the only race that has a problem determining who we are. Like blacks don't wonder, what should we be called today? White people don't wonder, what should we be called today? But it sounds like our race, it's like African Americans or black people, whatever you call yourself, versus niggas. We're the only race that seems to be choose a side. In other words, if somebody broke into your house, man, that nigga broke into my house. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who it is, but that nigga broke in my house. Some nigga broke in my house. But such and such went to school, he's African American. You know what I'm saying? That black man went to school, but that nigga broke in my house. You see what I'm getting at? It's like blacks versus niggas or African Americans, whatever you want to call yourself versus niggas, it's like choose a side. I don't, I'm done. I just wanted to make a statement. It wasn't a question, it was just a statement.
That's absolutely true. I mean, however.